Yo, what's going on? I appreciate everybody who's tuned in to this live. We're going to talk a little bit about scamming, a scam that you really can't avoid. We're going to talk about what should happen in order to avoid it, but I wanted to just touch bases. Now, this is an old scam, right? Old scam that I saw before, but it's definitely wrapped in a new package that I haven't seen before. So we're going to dive in and talk about it. If you're new to the channel, I'm Marcus, the Debt Free Dad, where we talk finance, attorney reactions to current events and topics. I am a licensed attorney in several jurisdictions, but none of those jurisdictions amount to me being your counsel. So if you need legal or financial advice or any advice, seek a professional. Don't just listen to a talking head on YouTube or somebody on IG. Hey, seek a professional, somebody who has a fiduciary relationship, who has to work in your best interest. Now, we're going to talk about scams, but before we do, I wanted to say, hey, my daughter cut my hair today. Didn't she do a good job? I know I got this whole thing where I want my daughter to know how to cut hair, preferably so she can cut my hair. So I was like, hey, this is just, she used to be scared to do it, but today she was like, I'll do it. So, hey, showed her what to do. She cut everything down nice and even. Now, I did the lineup on my own. I was like, not yet. And I use a straight razor when I'm doing my lineup. So I don't want her to cut my damn scalp off. But hey, so far, she actually did the haircut, got everything nice and even, Steven, and I'm gonna work with her. She gonna get the haircut down. Then I'm gonna teach her how to do the shape up with the clippers. Then I'm gonna teach her how to use the straight razor. And I told her whenever I need to get squared away, she could be my barber, and I just give her some bread. Plus, I told her, you like, hey, that's a dope thing in my opinion. A girl who know how to cut hair, like, hey, you hold a lot of power, ladies, if you know how to take care of your man hair. All right, now let's dive into the fraud. Okay, most fraud are self-inflicted wounds. And what I mean by that, with most fraud that you see, especially for large amount of monies, it is the victim has some accountability, some culpability in actually falling for the scam. Of all the scams we talked about, like whether it's a real estate Ponzi scheme or multi-level marketing or some blessing or some blessing type of thing through I don't know, Cash App or something. Most scams, the victim has some accountability because they fall susceptible either because they greedy as hell, or because they want something for nothing, or because they just was sold a bill of goods by what my grandmother liked to refer as a snake oil salesman for something too good to be true. But most times, people open the door to allow themselves to become victims of a scam. But when we're talking about scams that dealing with real estate, property that you own, that's a completely different ball game because a lot of those scams are done and can be done without your knowledge. You absolutely do nothing to open yourself up to the scam. It's not like you're signing up for a service or you're taking a loan out. It's somebody who, unbeknownst to you, files some BS paperwork with your local clerk's office, with the local place. And then, hey, man, hey, I'm telling you, man, my baby girl gonna be nice with it. She gonna be hooking it up and doing everything. I appreciate it, man. She was really nervous, man. She's like, what if I make you bald? I was like, please don't do that. But I work from home, so we would get over the hurdle. But most people invite themselves to scams. But when it comes to a scam that's related to your property, you don't got to do absolutely nothing. It's all about somebody finessing whatever the local government official is. Next thing you know, your house is sold for like $200,000 less than what it's worth. Now, normally, how I seen this scam, and y'all probably seen this before. This is an older one, so I'm not going to dive too deep in how I seen it originally. You would have people who would make fake ass deeds to a home, and they would actually make a fake deed to your home to the point where they file it with local officials. They actually sell your home. And I saw a video where a guy was looking at like Zillow or Redfin just to see the value of his property, and it showed that his home was recently sold for $160,000. And he was like, "What the hell?" because his home was worth like $350,000 because he had it built from scratch himself. And that exactly what happened. Somebody had a fake deed. They filed it with the clerk's office. They got bogus ownership of his home. Then they actually sold his home for $160,000. Now, luckily, this guy was able to get it squared away, but it cost him a lot of time, a lot of money. Of course, the person who purchased the home was saying that they had good title, so it was a big deal. So, knowing that that is the grandfather, the original of this scam, let's take a look at this video. It's coming out of New Orleans. This is the first place where I've seen this type of scam lien put on somebody's property. And once you see something start one day, like it's a copycat lead. That's how scamming go. Once somebody get away with a scam in like Alabama, next thing you know, that shit all over the place. So let's go ahead, cue up the video, and then we're gonna break down a little bit of about the scam, how this happened, how most people abide by the law, which is going to be a funny discussion, and what you can do to avoid this, but it's going to be hard as hell to do. It's going to take a lot of time to do because honestly, there's really nothing you can do to avoid this because I'm just be honest, it's like the city's fault for the most part. Now let's go ahead and cue this video up.
WWL investigator David Hammer's been tracking a spate of real estate fraud this year, and tonight he exposes a new kind of fraud involving a Metairie contractor and fake home improvement loans.
David Bryan and his wife Anne-Marie both grew up in New Orleans. They met at Tulane.
About 25 years ago, we moved away to Minneapolis.
But now they're missing home.
We're going to be retiring soon, and we still have family and friends here, and we wanted to come back once we're both retired.
They bought this uptown house last year, ready to make it their forever home. Then one day this spring, David got this in the mail.
You owe $45,000 on a loan, no payment due right now. It seemed kind of fishy, but you get those every once in a while. You know, you've been pre-approved, so I kind of ignored it, but it was suspicious enough that I hung on to it. And the next month I get another one.
It was from a California lender called GoodLeap, which offers home equity loans for energy-efficient projects like solar panels or new doors and windows. Bryan had never heard of GoodLeap. He asked the lender to send him documents from this supposed loan. There's his name on the loan application and an electronic signature.
But the only thing that matched the real record was your name.
Was my name.
Not your social security number?
Nope, not my phone number, not my email address, nothing. On the whole process from beginning to end, they didn't seem to do their due diligence. Not on the loan application.
Not.
All right, so first red flag is somebody at these companies lazy as hell. Like, I don't know where I come from, and what I've seen in my years of practices. Most people who commit fraud, they try to get the basic fundamentals down. They try to get the basics: name, social, date of birth. A lot of times they go on the black dark web and buy those things. I saw one lady, her father died like on a Wednesday. On a Friday, she used this dude's social and date of birth to file some fake ass claims. But most times scammers are like, I want to make sure I got the complete package because it's not going to go through if the only thing I got is a name. The only thing these people had was his name right. Date of birth wrong, social wrong, everything.
Not on the loan application.
Not on paying the loan proceeds either.
GoodLeap paid the construction company directly, Deep South Renovations. And they did it, and they didn't have any proof that the work was done or anything. They just took their word for it that the work was done, paid them directly the $45,000.
GoodLeap slapped a UCC lien on Bryan's property for the unpaid loan. It said he got solar panels, but he didn't. Deep South Renovations told GoodLeap Bryan got new doors and windows. He didn't.
All right, just so we know, UCC is specific statute that applies for the sale of goods. So when you're looking at a contract, let's say I was suing you or you were suing me for breach of a contract. Legally, the first thing you're going to do is look at that contract and say, is this contract for services Is this contract for the sale of goods, or is this contract a hybrid? Is it both? If it's for the sale of goods, the provisions of that contract are governed by the UCC. It's called the Uniform Commercial Code. So that's what that is.
Renovations told Goodleap Brian got new doors and windows. He didn't, and he's far from alone.
A UCC lien is where a creditor is putting a lien on a property to put others on notice that he has an interest in something in the property, whether it be furniture, equipment, or in this case, we had solar panels that never existed on the property, but that's what the UCC lien said.
Lauren Griffin is a real estate attorney at Crescent Title. One of her clients also got a lien from Goodleap, also for solar panels that never got installed, also for $45,000 that went to Deep South Renovations.
The only way that my client found out is because someone notified him, someone who also was a victim of these UCC liens.
I figured that I couldn't possibly be the only victim. So I went back to land records and I printed out, at my expense, about $250, copies of all Goodleap liens in Orleans Parish.
This third victim said he's afraid to give his name because he's the one who filed this police report against Deep South Renovations and reached out to warn as many people with Goodleap liens as he could find.
And subsequently, I heard back from about 8.
Now the FBI is investigating.
The FBI called me and they said, no, it's more than 10. It's more than one lending company.
Law enforcement sources say Goodleap paid Deep South almost $1 million for about 20 bogus loans.
I've spoken to
That's
the
crazy.
FBI twice, but I know that they're investigating.
Investigating Deep South and its owner, Samantha McGee.
I know that her contractor's license for this fake company that she established has been removed.
This is Deep South's supposed office, a vacant storefront in Metairie. We found McGee recently.
Hey, real quick, I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I find that hilarious that the office where you go to visit it is just a vacant building. And we're going to get back to that, but that's something that's very common. I've worked cases that were investigations against colleges that were bogus. And when we send agents out to look at the campus is just exactly what you see. It's a damn abandoned factory in that bit. It's like, it's actually common. One we would see often in healthcare is home health aides who are supposed to be there taking care of your loved ones. They didn't have the proper credentials. Once you do an investigation, start interrogating them, doing interviews, they get bogus credentials from a university or credentialing facility saying they graduated. When we went to go look at these damn facilities, it was literally just a building with one chair, one table, and about 5 printers in that damn place. They was just printing out, hey, here go your degree. You got a degree in hospice care. Here you go. Go forward and take care of people who are on their way out. So that is actually something that's common. It's probably not funny, but it kind of is funny to me because I've seen that so many times where you go to look at a business to see what's going on with the business, looking for employees, and it looked like this. It looked like a vacant ass shopping building in Raccoon City on Resident Evil.
This is Deep South's supposed office, a vacant storefront in Metairie. We found McGee recently took out a $450,000 purchase bond on this Metairie townhouse. The seller says McGee paid the first $50,000 and stopped, and now he's going to have to evict her. U.S. Marshals confirmed they went to the house last year to arrest McGee for failing to show up in federal court on an unrelated matter. Neighbors saw her pull up in her late model Mercedes, but she wouldn't answer the door or any of our phone and text messages.
I think it's really galling that somebody can get away with this so easily. Extraordinarily easy, because Goodleap doesn't do any due diligence.
Goodleap Vice President Jesse Comart says the lender has, quote, an extensive due diligence and fraud prevention process.
All right, let's pay attention to this because this part is actually important. And, I find it funny because it's a crock of you know what. But every organization has their own internal investigation and due diligence process. So when you go to a bank, banks have investigators who just solely look at transactions because you got people at the bank stealing. You got people who are supposed to be doing expense reports for spending related to business work, who trying to use their card for personal stuff. So every place has their own internal investigation. And most times, if it's a private company, they suspect fraud is going on, they'll investigate it internally. Once they make a finding that, okay, we found something, then they'll hand that over to prosecutors. So a lot of times prosecutors aren't starting from scratch because we get that independent investigation from whoever the company is. If somebody defrauding Google, Amazon, all these dumbass people who steal Amazon packages and they end up getting prosecuted, Google investigate them. They let them keep getting away with it to run that number up because it's either they want to make that crime a nice, healthy felony. Then once they got everything, they just package that up, send it to the Attorney General's office or the U.S. Attorney's office, and they start their investigation from there. So they're not starting from scratch. So you got Company A. You got guy who has a house. Company A, Deep South Renovations, owned by this lady named McGee, right? They're saying they're putting solar panels and doing all of this shit that they aren't doing to people's homes, right? We put these solar panels on this guy's house, which we really didn't, and it cost us $45,000. So what's likely happening, because I can't see a situation where I can't see a situation where you got the homeowner down here, you got Deep South who lied about a renovation that wasn't done. Then you got a company called Goodleap who's financing all of this. I can't see a situation where Goodleap is actually financing Deep South to do the work before it's done. What would make sense to me, just looking at it on his face, I think Deep South had the fraudulent BS paperwork saying that they doing this stuff. Once they already had that contract with that person who defaulted on that fake ass loan or that fake ass loan for the solar panels, they would probably sell that loan to Goodleap. So that's how Goodleap is probably acquiring the loan. Because if they fronting them the money up front for the work to be done, that would be the dumbest damn business model I ever seen. So I think it's probably more likely that homeowner unaware of anything, Deep South coming in lying, saying that they did some work. They got a bogus BS contract that the homeowner defaulted on because, of course, you got to default on it so they can sell it. The same way, if you don't pay your credit card bill, they can sell it to another company. They probably sell that contract, your interest, that obligation that the homeowner has, even though it's bullshit, to Goodleap. So they say, you know what? We'll pay you $45,000 to take that obligation off your hands, and we'll collect the money from that person. So that's probably how it's going, because I can't see it going any other way. It could go another way, but that would be extremely stupid on Jesse Comart, the vice president of Goodleap part. But let's listen to this because this shows how dumb he is. Okay, right now we left off that he's talking about the extensive due diligence process to avoid fraud.
An extensive due diligence and fraud prevention process. But he says Goodleap was victimized by, quote, a highly sophisticated group that appears to have the ability to create or obtain fraudulent Social Security numbers. And
all right, pause it right here. Let's think about it. Hey, Deep South, they scammed the people. All right, Deep South probably sold that financial obligation that the homeowner was unaware of because it was bogus. It was some BS. They probably sold that to Goodleap for $45,000. So they doing this 45 racks here, 45 racks here until they ran it up. Because you know they're gonna run it up to $1 million, $1 million scam, $45,000 at a time. None of the paperwork was legit. The only thing that they had right was this dude's name, not date of birth, not social, right? Deep South, bogus ass contract. Yet the VP is saying that, hey, the VP of Goodleap, so they're over Deep South. They're over, not the company who's saying they did the BS work that they didn't do. The company who's actually taking over that obligation that the homeowner has to pay that original loan with Deep South back. This dude is saying we got by a sophisticated group that appears to have the ability to create or obtain fraudulent Social Security numbers and then associate the Social Security number with innocent property owners. This is how you know that Jesse Comart isn't that damn smart, because we just saw that the only thing that was right in the application was the homeowner's name. So they had a social security number there, a date of birth there that belonged to somebody else who wasn't the name on the actual goddamn paperwork. So you could tell that this guy, him saying this shows me that they don't have a due diligence process, because he don't even know what the hell to say to try to navigate his way out of some BS. in my personal legal opinion. Now let's finish watching this video.
Have the ability to create or obtain fraudulent social security numbers and then associate the SSNs with innocent property owners. He says GoodLeap referred the case to the FBI in Sacramento and has been cooperating with the federal investigation.
UCC liens are now a new kind of fraud that we haven't seen before. And so when we first got this call, this was new to us. But fraudsters are trying anything they can right now.
In the meantime, Griffin says property owners should guard against those fraudsters.
To protect themselves, people can freeze their credit.
All right, option A, to protect yourself, freeze your credit. Don't nobody want to do that shit. That don't even make any sense, and you shouldn't even have to go that far. What if you freeze your credit, but you don't want it frozen because you have to do something, make an actual legitimate purchase or something like that? Like, yo, I'm trying to buy another home. I'm trying to buy some land. I'm trying to buy a car. I don't need my credit frozen up. So the first option to prevent it that they gave was freeze your credit, which I don't know. I think that's a dumbass option.
If you're in Jefferson or St. Tammany, there are systems in place where they notify you if anything's been placed on your property.
All right. The second thing they said, if you're in any of these counties that were infected, okay, they'll notify you if anything was placed on your property. What's good is that? That is after the fact. The shit is already on your property. Like, the whole point of notification is to get notified before it's placed on your property. Because once it's placed on your property, it's going to cost you a lot of damn attorney fees and a lot of your time and effort to try to get it rectified. But those are two options that they gave you. Hey, freeze your credit, or some places got a system where they notify you after something's been placed on your property, which is actually pointless. Getting notified after it's placed on your property is the equivalent of having a 24-hour monitored alarm system. What is the point of that? Think about it from a common sense standpoint. I had to explain this to a guy who's building a property across the street. He was like, yeah, I'm going to get a camera put up and 24-hour monitoring. I said, if you get 24-hour monitoring, they aren't doing anything that you wouldn't do if you were monitoring it yourself. Why would you pay an extra $50? If somebody go to break in your damn house, they're going to monitor it. They're going to call 911, and 911 going to come after they already broken your shit. The same way, if you don't pay for the monitoring, when you look at your phone and see somebody in your house, what you going to do? Call 911. The cops going to come after somebody broke into your shit. So the whole idea of, hey, counties got this mechanism in place where they'll contact you if something was placed on your property is analogous, exactly the same as having 24-hour monitoring. Yeah, it make you feel better, but the damage has already been done.
Systems in place where they notify you if anything's been placed on your property. But hopefully the other parishes will follow suit in that, and that everyone can be notified if something is put on your property, whether it's real or fraudulent.
The Orleans Parish Clerk's Office says it's in the final testing stages for a new notification system like the ones in Jefferson and St. Tammany parishes. Property owners will be able to opt in for email alerts starting in January. Too late for people who only learned about GoodLeap liens while trying to sell their houses or get legitimate loans. And too late for victims like Brian, who had to pay a lawyer and fight for 6 months to get the lien removed last month.
If it didn't happen to me, I'd sit back and think, boy, this is ingenious, you know?
At least he can laugh about it now before he needs a real loan to start the real work on his retirement dream home. David Hammer, WWL, Louisiana.
Another property owner told David today that Deep South took out a fake loan on her house with GoodLeap and another one with a different California lender called Dividend Financial. The FBI office in Sacramento would not confirm or deny its investigation. The New Orleans Police Department says its white-collar crimes unit is also investigating.
Good old white-collar crime. This is the reason why I'll at least always have gainful employment. Now, there's a few things that we got to talk about, okay? First of all, shout out to everybody who likes to follow the law. The majority of people in our society are going to follow the law. You know what made me think about this? Is the fact that they know where the owner of Deep South is, who had this bogus company that wasn't installing solar panels on. Everybody who got scammed know where they is. The cops showed her house on TV, and nobody going over there. Hey, I don't condone or promote violence, but in your head, you like to think, man, if somebody get me like that, I might have to go over there and knock their head up off their shoulders. But everybody is kind of sitting back, letting the authorities do their job. Now, there's two reasons for that. One is because most times people are going to follow the law, but I think the more important reason is, if we lose money in some type of a scheme, going upside the person's head is going to make it less likely that we're going to get our money back. Like, let's just be honest. Like, okay, like everybody know if somebody invested in the Tulsa real estate fund and they got finessed by Jay Morrison, people aren't hard to find, but they like, hey, I don't want to hurt nobody because I want to get this money back. So shout out to everybody who follow law. I always advise that's the best way to do it. But it's wild that people scam people out of millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they just out here walking around because most people follow law. Which, again, I advise you, hey, we're not condoning violence. I'm just saying that, it's amazing that people could get away with this stuff and they just walk around like shit is sweet out here, in my personal opinion. All right. The other thing is, the methods that they gave, freezing your credit, getting notified after the fact, are not going to help you. Hey, what's up? Oh, you already hooked me up? All right, come out. Good. Okay. My barber just came in here. She's downstairs making your boy some muffins. I wanted some cookies, and we ain't had no cookies to make, so she hooked me up. Thank you. Oh, it's fire, too. Man, them drinks good. Oh man, damn! I should have told her to bring me some milk. I ain't got nothing to drink with it. That's your thick as hell, thick ass muffin. Okay, like I was saying, god damn, Alexa, if you go downstairs, can you bring me a glass of water or something? Because I'm about to choke to death. Thank you. Now, like I was saying, damn, this damn man got milk like a mother. But yeah, like I was saying, so when we get back to these type of frauds, people are just out here walking around after they commit these frauds and nobody really doing anything because folks want an opportunity to get their money back. That's point number one. But these things are really hard to avoid. When you're charged with doing an investigation or an independent audit or review, because a lot of times what will happen is, let's say you had a company, right? You would hire people to come in and do an internal review everything that we do in this company, how we do our invoices, how we get our product moved from A to B. You will have somebody come in, an independent contractor, a team, to review everything that y'all doing in that office and figure out how can we do it more effectively and where are we vulnerable for fraud? Where can people hit us at? Well, people can hit you right here. So when you think about a fraud scheme being done, think about a funnel, right? At the bottom of the funnel is real narrow. Then the further up you go, it gets wider and wider. So when you want to look at a program and stop fraud, you want to try to stop it down at the narrow point. If you stop the fraud where it's at its widest after you got a bunch of victims, you ain't stopping shit because it's already a bunch of exposure right there. So you want to stop it at the most narrow point possible. So when we look at this scheme, you would ask yourself, what is the beginning stages of this fraud where we could put a stop to it? That's how you got to look at the process to come up with the. Oh, I appreciate it. Ooh. Oh, you got me some milk? Okay. Ooh. Man, your boy was in here choking up a storm, eating that delicious ass blueberry muffin that my lovely daughter, aka Barbara, made. But you want to stop that fraud as soon as you can at the beginning so that it doesn't get a chance to get a bunch of victims as that funnel get wider and wider. So when we look at this scheme, the earliest point that you can stop it is when Deep South put their bullshit construction lien on the property, right? That would be them having this bogus lien with this bogus paperwork going down to the local county development office or clerk's office at the court where they have to file this lien to put on these people property that they're unaware. The problem is, how can you stop that? Because it's a government process. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. There's really nothing you can do about it. If I had to come up with a way to try to stop it at its earliest level, I would tell people, hey, y'all need to contact your local whoever county commissioner, ANC, your local county committee elected official, because what has to happen to stop it is if a bogus company is going down to the courthouse to put a lien for work that wasn't done or was done on DFD's property, that has to be the start off point to identify the fraud. So a person has to get noticed the moment a claim is filed, but before it's approved. So if they notify you when someone comes down and attempts to put that lien interest on your property, if I wrote a law, it would say something to the effect of anyone who wants to put a lien interest on a person's personal or residential property has to submit an application, and then there's a 10 business day waiting period for the homeowner, the owner of that residential or commercial real estate, to come down and actually challenge the validity of that loan. If they would have had a mechanism like that in place, hey, Deep South would have came down with their BS loan. They would have tried to attach it to these people's property. Once they tried to attach it to these people's property, the county would have had an obligation to contact the people to say, yo, this company is trying to put a lien on your property. You have 10 days to come down here and challenge the validity of this process. Once that person came down there and showed that, yeah, that's my name, but that's not my social, that's not this, and here's video footage of no work that was done on my home, no solar panels, it would have been nipped in the bud completely. So that's really the only way you can stop it. And the reason that's going to be so much of a pain, because you're going to have to get laws and rules put in place to make that part of the process. Plus, it's going to require money, because they're going to have somebody who's going to contact these people. They're going to have somebody to sit down and evaluate. This is the lien that party A wants to put on. Party B saying this lien is bullshit because of this. And so you actually have to have somebody to sit down, look at all of that shit, and make a determination. And that's going to cost the city a lot of money. So it's fucked up. Hey, I feel real bad because there's nothing I can really give you to try to avoid this. I know, and I did videos of it 2 or 3 times where the local government screwed up my taxes. And the first time I was unaware. The second time I actually started looking every quarter. And when I noticed that it was a mistake again, I was able to get in and fix it because I was at least able to do it sooner than better. So without anything that you can really do in place, without no notice requirement, when it comes to your property, is always cool. And I just do this every quarter. Every quarter, I just go on the county website. I look up my property. I look up what the current taxes are, make sure that they were paid. I look and make sure that there's no outstanding liens. Because if you have an outstanding lien, they'll have a list that's on a spreadsheet that the city will have. And even though you may see it after it's on there, the sooner you find out about it, the better. But yo, it's a cold game out here. It's a cold game out here, and people are always trying to finesse your money. So you got to do what you can to try to protect yourself, especially when it comes to your house. Because I don't know about y'all, unless y'all gonna get $1 million yacht or something. If you like DFD, the house that you buy is probably going to be the most expensive thing that you ever buy in your life. So you want to avoid having any BS attached to it because it's just a pain. And just think about it. What if you don't have the finances to get an attorney to fight that case for you? Now you're just trying to do it on your own. And the scales of justice move slow as hell when you ain't got the money to pay a lawyer. And a lot of times they don't move in your favor. So just keep your eyes open. Keep a lookout on your property. If it's in state, check online, drive by. If it's out of state, Pay somebody to go through, look, make sure you don't got no squatters on there who try to take your property, because people get real wild. People will try to finesse the system, and it'll cost you time and money that you don't want to waste. Yo, I appreciate everybody who tuned in, and I might do it Friday. I might do it Friday or tomorrow. It depends, because there's always some fresh finance news out there that need to be talked about. But I got a video I'm going to do on, it's not illegal. Traveling within the United States with cash is 100% legal. If I wanted to, I could travel from here to California with $100,000, and there's nothing nobody can do. However, hey, law enforcement officials been getting people traveling with cash at the airport. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to show y'all a quick video on it tomorrow or Friday. I'll probably do it tomorrow. And we're going to talk about what you can do or how you can avoid this one. This one, I can provide you a little bit of help with. But is actually a mess, because the people who getting y'all is the alphabet boys. So we're going to talk about what do you do if you're traveling with cash, you in this situation, you get stopped, you get searched, your money get confiscated. Now you just out here assed out. And it's terrible, because this is getting done to innocent people to the tune of hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars a year. And if you don't know what to do, hey, you could become a victim. And who gonna say no to the alphabet boys when you're trying to get on the plane and they ask you? Most people aren't gonna say no. They aren't gonna have the cojones to say no. But I'm gonna talk about how you should handle it, the law to search and seizures, and what you should do if they actually do confiscate your money or seize your money as a asset forfeiture, and how you can go about it getting it legally back. Y'all take care. Have a good evening. Be blessed. For everybody on the replay, if you enjoyed this video, check out what's on the screen. There's going to be more content related to finance, attorney reactions, and all of that good stuff. Peace.